Ever wish you could get a sneak peek into the future? Not from some crystal ball, but by looking at where millions of actual dollars are being bet on what's going to happen next. Well, that's exactly what we're doing today. We are decoding the world's predictions by following the money. So let's just get right to it. The big question is, can we actually predict what's coming just by tracking where people are placing their bets? That's what this entire deep dive is all about. And just so we're clear, we're not talking about polls or gut feelings here. We are digging into millions of dollars in prediction market data. Real money wagered on everything from economic policy to the next big tech breakthrough. Our goal is to uncover the collective wisdom of the market and see what it tells us about 2025. All right, let's kick things off with the one thing on everyone's mind, the global economy. It really feels like we're all walking a tightrope. And you know what? The prediction markets have a surprisingly clear take on how we're going to manage. Okay, the first thing that just jumps right off the page is inflation. The market is sending a really strong signal that it is not going away quietly. It's pricing in a 69% chance that inflation stays stubbornly above 3% deep into 2025. And that, right there, is the main challenge facing policymakers. So if inflation is sticking around, what's the move? Well, here's the twist. The market is pricing in a 66% probability that the U.S. Federal Reserve will actually cut interest rates this December. Now think about that. It suggests a strong belief that the Fed is going to prioritize easing up, even with inflation still being a problem. And what's really fascinating is that this isn't just a U.S. story. We're seeing this coordinated stance across the globe. You've got central banks in Europe and China overwhelmingly expected to just hold steady. Meanwhile, the Bank of England is seen as even more likely to cut rates than the Fed. The message is pretty clear worldwide: hold or ease, but whatever you do, don't tighten. And this isn't just some academic debate, There's over $11 million in notional volume. That's the total value of all the open bets riding on how many rate cuts we'll see next year. It's one of the single biggest economic questions on the table. Hey, if you're finding this kind of breakdown valuable, do me a favor and drop a like and share. Okay, shifting gears now, let's pivot from the economy to our second major theme, technology. And really, we're talking about one thing: the high-stakes battle for dominance in the next chapter of the AI revolution. So when you look at the AI landscape through the lens of prediction markets, a shockingly clear picture emerges. It's not seen as a close race. It doesn't matter if you're looking at who'll be named the best AI or who's winning the technical benchmarks. One name just keeps popping up over and over again: Google's Gemini. And when you look at the hard numbers, you can see just how wide that perceived gap is. I mean, an 80% probability of being the best AI by the end of next year, that's compared to just 11% for its biggest rival, ChatGPT. Even in the technical tests, like the chatbot arena where users blindly rate AI responses, Gemini has this commanding lead. The market consensus here is just overwhelming. And get this huge number, over $7.5 million, that's the total amount being wagered on that one single question: who will have the best AI in 2025? That shows you the market isn't just watching from the sidelines. It is putting serious financial weight behind its belief that Gemini is going to dominate. To stay ahead of the curve on massive tech trends like this one, make sure you subscribe to the channel. All right, on to our third theme, politics. And here, the market is telling this really fascinating story. It's like a tale of two different timelines. Short term, everything's fine, followed by some serious long-term uncertainty. First up, the calm. In the immediate future, the market is showing almost total certainty about the basic functions of government. Will it reopen after a potential shutdown? 99% yes. Will a funding bill get passed? 98% yes. So despite all the political noise and drama, traders fully expect the lights to stay on. But then you see this number, nearly $28 million. And this is where the entire story just completely flips. This isn't money being bet on a government shutdown. This is the amount wagered on a single, far-off political event. So what's that $28 million for? It is all riding on one question: who is going to be the Democratic presidential nominee in 2028? And the reason there's so much money pouring in is simple. Nobody has a clue. The field is completely wide open. The current frontrunner, Gavin Newsom, is only given a 37% chance. This just reflects deep uncertainty and a massive scramble to get an edge on a race that could be chaotic. We're going to be tracking this closely, so for ongoing analysis, make sure to follow us on Twitter for more updates. And over on the Republican side, the picture is a little clearer, with J.D. Vance seen as the favorite at 52%. But even there, look at that other category. It makes up a massive 39% of the pie. The takeaway is exactly the same on both sides of the aisle. While today's government is seen as stable, the long-term political leadership of the country is completely up for grabs. Okay, now for the really fun part, the wild cards. These are those high-impact, low-probability events that the market is watching super closely, even if it doesn't think they're actually going to happen. Let's start with a classic showdown, gold versus Bitcoin, old school versus new school. With 91% certainty, the market is betting that gold, the ancient store of value, is going to outperform Bitcoin this year. Now, on the surface, that looks like a clear vote for safety over speculation. So, case closed, right? The market is bearish on crypto and everyone is running back to gold? Well, as you can probably guess, the data shows it's not nearly that simple. Because here's the other side of the coin. Even with that bet against gold, there is over $22 million in trading volume on a single market predicting Bitcoin's price potential just this year. So the interest, the capital, the belief in crypto's explosive upside, it is still there in a huge way. If you find this kind of insight valuable, drop a like and share it. And here's just a quick look at some other market long shots. A massive 8.0 earthquake this month, only 8%. 2025 being the hottest year on record, a surprisingly low 3%. The US government confirming aliens exist, also 3%. So yeah, probably don't get your hopes up. Even OpenAI hitting true artificial general intelligence before 2028 is only priced at a 26% chance. These are the big what-if events the market is aware of, but not seriously betting on. So, we've dug into economics, tech, politics, and a few wildcards. What's the big story here? What is the world's collective bet on where we are all headed? Here's how it all weaves together. First, in the short term, the market is betting on stability from governments and central banks. Second, in tech, we see this rare, overwhelming consensus that Google's Gemini is going to lead the AI race. Third, that certainty completely evaporates when you look at long-term politics, where it's all about massive uncertainty. And finally, the market is always keeping one eye on those high-impact wildcards. If you want more deep dives just like this, make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel. At the end of the day, these prediction markets give us this incredible snapshot of our collective foresight. They show us where the conviction is strong and where the future is anyone's guess. The bets have been placed, the data is in, so the only question left is, how will you use this information?